The earth is my home. I promise to keep it healthy and beautiful. I will love the land, the air, the water, and all living creatures. I will be a defender of my planet, united with friends. I will save the earth.
My name is Commissioner Frank Avila. I'm a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And the name of our show today is the Second International Conference on Water and Waste Management. And as my guest, I have Sam Pappu. He's the president of the Water and Management Conference. Thank you, Sam, for being on our show. Our second guest is Dr. Tata. He's the co-chair, Water and Waste Management Conference. Thank you, Prakash, for being on the show.
Thank you, sir.
And our second guest is Carolyn Greaves, and she is the co-chair of the women's leader in the water and wastewater track at the conference. I'm glad we're adding women to this conference. Very
Here.
important. Now, Sam, give a brief about the water and wastewater conference and how it is difficult from other conferences held in India.
Water and waste management. This is a very important subject, and it's a part of because it's a part of the environmental aspect. Particularly for the country like India with 1.2 billion population, the water and waste management has become, it is in the forefront now. Because like India is a leader in IT, the medical field, or like pharmacy, you name in many of these subjects, they are in the forefront. But particularly when it comes to the water and waste management, they are still lacking to give the proper water and waste management things to the public. So what we thought is like to create a greater awareness in this field, we started our first conference during February 18 to 20th of 2019. We did it, and we have like more than 20 US agencies also participated in that. We did it in Hyderabad, India, and we got like a very good response from the local people and also the government leaders and then the industry representatives. So based on their request, now we started our second conference to be held during February 17th to 19th of 2020. So this conference will be again held in Hyderabad. This time we'll be having 8 tracks. So the 8 tracks consist of the water and waste management, the women leaders in water and waste management, that is a specialty this time we had it. So that's how the Carolyn
Very
is
important.
here.
Very important.
Yeah. And water in agricultural sector, like water and waste management in the agricultural sector, because India is a predominantly agricultural country. And we have the water, sanitation and hygiene. So this is more like the medical doctors, like they will be coming out with what are the important things of the wash. And we have the solid waste, where the municipal solid waste and how to do the municipal solid waste recouping. And then we have got the energy sector, that with the resource recovery and energy. So how we can able to produce energy from this water and wastewater side, and then municipal solid waste. And then we have got like IT and IoT sectors, and then business groups. So total we have like 8 tracks we have this time in this conference, and there is like a lot of enthusiasm locally, and we have got like a lot of speakers signed in. So we expect it to be a great conference.
That's excellent. Water is very precious. Water is what? Life, right?
Yes.
Our body is what? 65% of water. And everyone saying we should be concerned about protein in our body. But I disagree. We should be concerned about water.
Absolutely.
And here in Chicago, we're living in God's country because we have Lake Michigan. But in India, they need water for life to live, right?
You know,
As-
Frank, there are 17% of the population of the world live in India,
Yeah.
and have only 4% of the water resources of the world in India.
4%.
4%.
Wow.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And it's not changing.
4%, huh? Now, Prakash, what is the present situation in India regarding water and waste management?
It's a very good question, Frank. Of course, water, as you said, is very important. Without water, you cannot live. And India being highly rural, about 70% of them live in villages. The rest 30% lives in urban areas. About, I would say, in the villages, 78, I think that is the latest figure I got from a friend of mine. It's very difficult to find very correct statistics, but just to give you an idea, the depth of the problem, 78% of the villages are covered with some kind of water supply. 18% of the villages partially covered, and 4% of the villages, they have water poor quality. Okay, and this is just an approximate figure. They vary slightly. But it is important to know, although this water is, they say according to the statistics is available, the quality of the water is very uncertain in different villages because we do not have a regular water monitoring or quality to be presented in any form. Yes, there are some statistics, but that is the situation about water. As I mentioned to you, only 4% of the water resources of the world are in India versus the 70% of the population, okay? So it is a tremendous, not only that, because of the climate change effects and things like that, droughts are increasing, this period of drought is increasing, and a lot of water is being taken away from the groundwater resources for irrigation. The water table is going down and down and down without recharging. A lot of water is being wasted during the monsoon season, only 3 months we get the water, and there is not enough reservoir capacity in India. So a lot of water during that period is let go into the oceans, good water. That's another problem. Water conservation is not, measures are not really at their peak. And coming to about the coverage of sanitation in rural areas, for example, as of February, 90+% of the villages are covered with latrines. Previously, open defecation was a big problem versus 38% only were using latrines. And our Prime Minister Modi of India, he made it like a Swachh Bharat campaign, which was a Clean India type of a program. So his was, after 4 years, on Gandhi's birthday on October 2nd of this year, 100% coverage of latrines in rural India. That's what he wanted to achieve that. And although that goal, probably some people say was achieved, it's very difficult to say how many of those latrines are being used, what percentage of the latrines are being used. Certainly more latrines are being used, but some of these cultural habits are hard to die. And so there is a lot of awareness has to be created in the people to make them go to the latrines regularly, to use them, to reduce the waterborne diseases.
Change their
okay?
behavior.
Change the behavior. This is very important. And when I looked at some statistics, you know, the money that is spent for creating awareness and change the behavior is limited in comparison to the amount of money that was spent to build this construction, the latrines that are constructed. And there are some reports, independent organizations made some research on this, and they were not too happy because although 99% or 100% coverage of latrines was there, the usage was not at par with that percentages, okay? That is the situation in the rural areas. Now, coming to urban areas, Once I sat in a conference like this with the Minister of Environment and Forestry, Central Minister. His name also is Prakash, by the way. And I asked him a simple question: how many sewage treatment plants are in India, and what is their status? And the numbers were appalling to me. He said there were less than 1,000. This is about 4 years ago. Less than 1,000 treatment plants are in India for a population of 1.2 billion. Of course, 70% is rural, so they don't have to have a sewage treatment plant, centralized type of a thing. And he said 80 of those, about 860 or something like that, were shut down because they were not performing at all. There were a lot of problems. Although they were constructed, they just shut them down. And then the remaining of those 80% of these 800 odd plants, 80% of them were not producing effluents to comply with the discharge standards. And I visited, every time I go to India, I make it a point to see at least one sewage treatment plant in a different city, you know. And by my walking into that plant and talking to the managers, it becomes very obvious that they're not functioning well and they're very short of staff. Operation maintenance staff are very sparse and they're not properly trained, they're not skilled. So I see a lot of leakages, and then when you go to most of the plants, they smell, the odors are there prevalent, which shows to you that even the activated sludge is supposed to be aerobic. It's foul smell. So all these things are there. The problems are galore. Very high degree of problems are there. But the good news is, after Prime Minister Modi got elected to the parliament and all that, now he's the boss, there is a lot of awareness now about the importance of hygiene and sanitation and wastewater treatment and water quality. But to translate that kind of an inspiration or awareness into actual doing in using technologies is still a long way to go. That's where this conference would be helpful, with the knowledge that we can take over there and then discuss their problems and finding some appropriate solutions.
Yeah, that's excellent, because
Solid waste also is a big problem.
Yeah.
A lot of garbage is produced, but not much was collected and not much was treated. There are solid waste lands supposed to be landfills, but most of them are like dumps to me. So there's a lot of work to be done there also. And to me, these are all resources. I always constantly think how to make money out of these resources. We can do it, provided there is some interest there. So that is the current status I can sum up.
So water, wastewater, and solid waste.
Solid waste.
And when Prakash was talking about wastewater treatment plant, he was talking about when we eliminate ourselves, human waste, that when it goes into a treatment plant, and when he mentioned effluent, it's that discharge of the liquid that goes into the waterways is not being not being treated properly,
Okay.
right? And
only the interesting thing is, only 30% of sewage is collected,
30%,
and the rest is directly discharged, untreated.
And that's why I said here in Chicagoland area, Cook County, we're living in God's country. Why? Because we have the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, where Prakash was one of the top scientists at the district. And some of his research is being used throughout the world there. And so we were very fortunate here in Chicago to have Dr. Prakash Tata, and now India is very fortunate to have him go there to give the workshops along with Sam. And now we have Carolyn. And Carolyn Greaves, she's the co-chair of the Women's Leader in the Water and Wastewater Management Conference. That's good, Carolyn.
Thank you.
And now, Carolyn, what is the role of woman's leader in the water and wastewater management sector?
Well, thank you for inviting me here today to talk about this. And I think this is a really important topic. And I'm excited this conference is going to have a track focusing on women and leadership in the water and wastewater industry. I think it's really important to have diversity in any industry, and diversity helps that industry thrive by bringing in new ideas, new experiences, and really helps push that industry forward. I have to admit the water and wastewater industry is an amazing industry, and I've been very fortunate to be involved with it for an engineer focusing on water systems supply for the past 20 years. And it's always been important to me to use a word that you just said, is to be inspired. It's been important to me to be inspired by other leaders in the industry and find other women who also share that same passion and help push your career forward. So this track is going to be very important to be able to kind of share our experiences, how we've developed as engineers, what our experiences have been to be able to get to where we are today, and to hear what kind of interests and ideas the Indian women have and what they're looking forward to seeing in the water and wastewater industry moving forward over the next few years. So I think this track is going to be great for both men and women to hear both of the experiences from these women leaders in the water and wastewater industry.
Yeah, so we have a good track, as Sam mentioned. How many tracks again? 7?
Eight tracks.
8 tracks covering each of the problems that are facing India, and these tracks that are facing India, not only India,
Right.
right? It's throughout the world.
Exactly.
General traffic.
Even in the United States,
Indeed.
these
Universal.
tracks are very important also to be discussed here in America. Right? Prakash?
Let me tell you, Frank, one thing. In India, women are respected and revered. A mother in the family is like the planet sun.
Yeah.
The father, the children revolve around her,
Yes.
like satellites, you know. And whatever the mom says will go in the household. I was in Baghdad once. I met the women leader. She was the right-hand person of Saddam Hussein when he was there in 1984. And when I told her this thing to her, because she had an interview like this with me, why are you interested in a woman? I said, you can change the behavior right in the house. That's exactly what is being done in Israel.
Yes.
You know, all the women, the children, they know what conservation is. So you, Carolyn, has a very important role to play. And when you are there, inspire the women there. Make a pitch for that, because in India, women are really respected, and particularly a lady like you coming from America, they think the goddess has come.
Well, it's not that. It's that Carolyn has a degree in civil engineering.
Yes.
Correct.
She's a professional engineer.
Correct.
And what school did you go to, Carolyn?
University of Illinois.
Down in Champaign?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Love
where I
it.
graduated
Yes,
from.
yes.
So that's why it's very important in the STEM program
Yeah.
to encourage our young kids
Get involved.
to get involved
Right.
in the STEM program. See, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Absolutely.
Now, Sam, what is the expected outcome of this conference?
We are trying to create here like 2 platforms. One is a knowledge platform, and second is a business platform. In the knowledge platform, our idea is like we are bringing in all the experts from USA. We have got like a few more experts coming from Germany, Thailand, and Singapore, and we have got like the local experts, Indian experts. So with all these experts gathering together, like these 2 days in this 8 tracks, and then brainstorming, and then looking at all these problems, and then trying to find appropriate solutions. So that is like a knowledge platform. Then what? Like we need those solutions to be implemented at the ground level. That who will do that? The industry has to come in like that, and that's where like once the industry is in this water and waste management sector, that's where like the jobs are created, and it's a sustainable economy, and all these things, the benefits will come out like. So the outcome of this conference, what we are trying to do is like to create these 2 platforms. One is this knowledge platform, and based on this one, the business platform. And government of India itself is spending huge amounts of money on this water and waste management. The Modi government has got like a one like the $51 billion like a program by 2024 that all the villages, everybody has to get a tap water. That is what like they are implementing now.
Yeah.
And on December 25th, they just announced in 7 states to preserve the groundwater a $900 million program just for 7 states because they are more drought prone and all that. So and that's why like the huge amounts of investments are coming from government of India itself, then the state governments, then the municipalities. So people has to see the how much amount of like the money is being spent, so what the opportunity available. So that's how like the knowledge and then the business, they go together, so that create the jobs opportunities, and then finally the results will come out like in the water and waste management sector.
Then you know that's excellent, and that's why they picked Sam, Prakash, and Carolyn. Because why did they pick Prakash to go give a talk, or Sam? Because you know here at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, we have the largest wastewater plant in the world. Right, Prakash?
Yes, that's why I came to work for it.
Just
I was
think
at Cornell,
Yeah.
but that's great, being in academia and teaching that. But my passion was to do the research at a very large scale, so that I don't have to scale it up from little pilot plants or
Yeah,
little
we have
chemicals.
we have 7 plants here in
Yeah,
Cook County.
right.
One is the largest in the world. 3 are considered the largest in North America. And so, and we have a large research staff where Prakash worked at. So we have scientists, engineers, to take care of the wastewater here in Cook County. I mean, as I mentioned again, we are living in God's country, and so we are the expert throughout the world in wastewater.
That's for sure, yes.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our technology and research that were done here in Chicago are being used throughout the world. We have the largest reservoirs in the world, the largest ultraviolet light treatment plant in the world, the largest phosphorus removal plant in the world. So we are big. Now, Prakash, can you give a brief outline of the WASH program?
Yeah, WASH is an acronym, stands for water, sanitation, hygiene. It's a very important thing. I can tell you as a Rotarian, I can tell you this because we have a very big WASH program. For example, in India, we started doing a lot of work in schools because that's where in the hand washing stations and safe drinking water. Because these kids play over there, and when I went to school, there was nothing like that. There is no siphon, water siphon to wash my hands or even to drink water from the siphon. But now, as the importance of water is taking the central stand, WASH also has become a very important thing to prevent diseases. You know, my first boss in India was an American, tall American. He changed my life. He said water and sanitation. I could have been a doctor if I had 5,000 rupees, but I didn't. I didn't have it. The next best thing is to prevent. You want to prevent disease? This is the way to go. Like 80% of the disease in India was waterborne in those days, 1955, 56 I was talking about. I don't think it's any less now, maybe a little bit less. But this WASH program itself, water and sanitation hygiene, starting from the kids' school, is a great thing. And we are fortunate to have in our Rotary Club of Naperville, Dr. Roger Railiff. He's a medical doctor. Not only he was a medical doctor, he was an environmental engineer. He got his civil engineering degree and environmental degree also. And he was served in the army as an environmental engineer. So he is the best combination of both, you know, to lead this track of WASH at our conference. We are very fortunate to have him. And he came to India last year. And he was so excited that he wants to come again. Maybe Carolyn will do the same thing next year.
Great.
So he's coming. Unfortunately, he could not be here today. But that is essentially the water and sanitation hygiene. As Sam said, we're going to have doctors and public health officials to be in the track, the panel discussion or something like that, and some papers also. He has to produce documentation, things like that, you know. And one other thing I'll tell you, what you mentioned about agriculture. Last night, I talked with Dr. Tom Granado.
Yes,
He is coming.
yes.
And I told him about the beneficial use of biosolids, the effluent,
Yeah.
for irrigation in the agriculture sector. I asked him to write a paper. He's going to do that,
Yeah.
and he's bringing his kid also. So we are getting some momentum there.
Well, that's what, you know, we're talking about behavior changes, that people have to change their behavior, how they think about recycling human waste.
Right.
Right.
Because human waste is not bad once it's recycled. So this is what we have to change, the behavior. And also about wash. We have problems with wash here in America because people get more sick when they go into the hospital because why? They're not washing their hands.
Yes.
You know, wash your hands. Because why? They use these antiseptic bottles,
Yeah, the sanitizer.
sanitizer,
Yeah.
and that doesn't do the trick. The trick is washing your hands with soap and water. So you have a very good program there.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.